Okay, so this is the assignment packet for those who may need it. This is writing an equation from a table. All right, so number one, all right, what we need to do first is we need to find two clean points. What I mean by a clean point is a point that crosses directly through an intersection. Your y-intercept is usually one of them, and that would be the y-intercept. It's where your line crosses the y-axis. All right, now we need to find another clean point, which would be right here. That crosses directly through that intersection. You really only need two clean points, okay? So now that we found two clean points, and remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So that's what our answer is going to look like. So first thing we need to do is the slope, all right? So we're going to go up 1, 2, that's the top number, and right 1. So my slope is 2 over 1, or just 2. So y equals 2x. Because the slope goes here, the y-intercept goes in place of the b. All right, so what's my y-intercept? Well, it's 0. You don't technically have to put the y-intercept if it's 0, but most people do, okay? And then that would be your answer, all right? Number 2. So this right here would be our y-intercept right there at 5. Now we just need to find one other clean point. Well, if you go along this line right here, okay, you're going to see that there's not actually a clean point until you hit right here. Okay, so slope, you're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since you're going down, that's negative. And then you're going to go right 2. So your slope is negative 5 over 2. So y equals negative 5 over 2x. Don't forget your x because it's wrong if you forget the x. All right. And then what's your y-intercept? Well, it's 5. Okay. So plus 5. And then that would be your answer. All right. Number 3. So there's one clean point right there. Now, the clean point that you're looking for may not be forward. It may actually be backwards, okay? So if you go backwards on this right here would also be a clean point right there. So you always go left dot to right dot. So this was my left dot, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going down 4. And then I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3. So my slope is negative 4 over 3. So y equals negative 4 over 3x. Again, don't forget your x. And then your y-intercept would be, looks like, negative 1, 2, 3, negative 4. Like so. And then that would be your answer. Okay, number 4. So on this particular problem right here, all right, so your y-intercept, okay, is going to be right here at negative 1. And then, again, your clean point could be forward or backwards. It doesn't matter, okay? So kind of scanning through here, looking for a clean point, we don't really have one going forward, but we do have one going backwards. There's one right there. Okay, so you always go left dot to right dot. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's your top number. We're going to go right 1, 2, 3. So negative 5 over 3 would be my slope. So y equals negative 5 over 3x. And then my y-intercept is right there. That would be negative 1. And then that would be my answer. All right. Number 5. So again, your y-intercept is most generally your first clean point. And then you can literally see there's one right there. And again, all you need is 2. So left dot to right dot, we're going to go up 1 and right 1. So basically it's 1 over 1 or just 1. So y equals 1x, and then what's my y-intercept? 1, 2, 3. So plus 3, there's my equation. Remember, what we're doing right now is we are writing an equation from a graph, okay? Now, when you get to number 6, there is no really true clean point. It's a straight up and down line, okay? Now, what you have to remember is, and this is memorization, when you have a straight up and down vertical line, it's always going to be an x equals equation, okay? Now, what does x equal? Well, where's the line at? Well, obviously, this right here is our line, correct? So we just count to the right 1. So x equals 1, because that's where my vertical line is. It's at 1. Next page. And that's a little bit blurry, okay? Hopefully your paper's not quite as blurry as my screen is, all right? So, got to find 2 clean points. So, there's one right there, and then one looks like right there, okay? So, we're doing the same thing that we've been doing, all right? We're writing the equation from a graph, okay? It's just that these problems are going to be, I don't know, easier, harder. I mean, looks like easier to me. You're going down 1, right 2. So negative 1/2. That's your slope. And remember, put the x by it. And then where's it at? It's at 1, 2, 3. Okay? 1, 2, 3. So plus 3. And that would be your answer. Number 8. So there would be my y-intercept. Okay, there's my next clean point. So this one's pretty easy. Up 1, right 1. So 1 over 1 or just 1 would be my slope. So y equals 1x. And then that would be my y-intercept, which is at 1. Whoops. So plus 1. Number 9. Well, once again, we have another vertical line. So on this vertical line, it's going to be an x equals equation. Okay? X equals what? Well, where's it at? Well, we have to count. Negative 1, negative 2. So x equals negative 2. And that would be our answer. All right, this one's a little bit clearer than the other ones. Okay, so there's my first clean point. There's my next clean point. So this time we're going to go, and you remember, it's always left dot to right dot. So we're going to go down 1, right 1. Okay, so down 1 would be negative 1. Right 1 would be 1. All right, so that would actually be negative 1, right? If you divide negative 1 by 1, it's negative 1. So y equals negative 1x. That right there is my y-intercept at 1. So negative 1x plus 1. And remember, your y-intercept always goes right there. Okay? Number 11. Okay, so there's a clean point right there. And the next clean point would actually be right there. So once again, we got a pretty easy one. Down 1, right 1. So again, our slope is negative 1. And then my y-intercept would be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. And done. And then right here, number 12, there's my y-intercept. Okay, and then there's my next clean point. So for the third one in a row, down 1, right 1. Down 1 is on top, so that would be negative 1. right ones on bottom. So that would be positive 1. And again, it's going to be negative 1. So my slope is negative 1x. My y-intercept this time is at 2. So plus 2. Okay? And that's writing an equation from a graph. Okay? Now, the next page is still writing an equation from a graph, but these are, I want to say, a little bit tougher, and you have some different types of problems, all right? So on this right here, got to blow the screen up a little bit more, that way we can actually kind of see. So that right there would be my y-intercept, because that's the y-axis. Now we actually have to find the next clean point on here. So if you scroll down a little bit, okay, what you'll find is this right here looks like your next clean point. So we're going to go down, always left dot to right dot. We're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So down 5, right 1, 2, 3. So y equals negative 5 over 3x. And then my y-intercept is right there at positive 1. So plus 1. Number 2. Okay, so we actually have a horizontal line here. Remember, the vertical line straight up and down is always an x equals equation, which means that the horizontal lines are always going to be a y equals equation. Well, what does y equal? Well, count down to where the line is. So that would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8. So that's your equation. Y equals negative 8. A horizontal line is always going to be a y equals equation. All right? So there's my first clean point. There's my next clean point. So left dot to right dot, up 1, 2, right 1, 2, 3. So my slope is 2/3. So y equals 2/3 x. And then what's my y-intercept? Well, it's 0. You don't really have to put the plus 0, but you can if you want. And that would be your answer. All right, number 4. Again, we have a y-intercept of 0, and then my next clean point is actually right there. So clearly we're going down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. So y equals, and we've already done this, I think about 3 or 4 times now with this particular type of problem. Okay, that would be a negative 1 slope, right? So negative 1x. And then my y-intercept, again, is at 0. All right, number 5. We have a vertical line. So we know that it's a straight up and down. So we know that it's an x equals equation. Well, what does x equal? We'll count over towards it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's obviously going left. So it's not 5. It's negative 5. And that would be your answer. Number 6, we have a horizontal line. So we know that that's a y equals equation. Okay, what does y equal? Well, count up to it. 1, 2. So y equals 2. And that would be your answer. Flip the page. So this will, I believe, be the last page of writing the equation from a graph. So on this one, there's your y-intercept. Here's your next clean point. Okay, we're on number 7. So you're going to go up 1, right 1, 2, 3. So 1/3. So y equals 1/3 x. And then your y-intercept is 0 again, because it's right in the middle. All right, number 8. So there's your y-intercept right there. Your next clean point actually is right here. So from left dot to right dot, we're going to go down 1, 2, 3. So down 3. And then right 1. So negative 3 over 1, or just negative 3, right? So y equals negative 3x. Your y-intercept is right here. So that's 1, 2, 3. So my y-intercept would be at 3. So plus, whoops, wrong button, plus 3. Number 9. So on number 9, there's your y-intercept. Your next clean point, okay, is actually going to be right there. So on this one, you're going up 1, right 2. So 1/2 is going to be your slope. That goes in front of the x. And then your y-intercept, well, we got to count up to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is positive 6. Number 10, there's your y-intercept. There's your next clean point. Okay, so you're going to go down 1. That goes on top. Right 1, 2, 3. So negative 1/3. So y equals negative 1/3 x. Your y-intercept is again at 0. Last two. So we have a horizontal line. When you have a horizontal line, we already know that it's a y equals equation. Okay? And then what does it equal? Well, we got to count up to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So y equals 4. Now, the y-intercept is right there. Obviously, we just counted up to it. It's 4. The slope for a horizontal line is always going to be 0. Because it's flat. It's straight across. It has no slope. It's 0. All right? Now, vertical line. Well, we know that that's an x equals equation. Well, what does x equal? Well, we need to count over. So we need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So x equals 6. Now, it says, what is the slope for a vertical line? Well, it doesn't have a slope. In fact, it's undefined. A vertical line slope is always undefined. Because you cannot have two dots in the same vertical line. Okay? Well, we have many dots in the same vertical line, right? Okay, so it's undefined. So that would be writing an equation from a graph. Now what we're going to do is actually even easier. Writing an equation given the slope and y-intercept. Okay, so given the slope, that goes in front of the x, and then the y-intercept just goes behind it. All right, so that's my equation. So you're going to plot negative 3. Your slope is negative 6 over 1. You can't go down 6 and right 1. So we need to go backwards. So we need to go up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then left 1. And since we cannot get another dot on the graph, we're just going to go with 2 points. And then draw your line. And done. Number 2. So you're given the slope. That goes in front of the x. You're given the y-intercept, which is 3. So that would be plus 3. Now you plot the y-intercept at 3. And then you go up 1, right 2. And then one more time. Up 1, right 2. And then draw your line. Number 3. You're given the slope, which is 5 over 2. And the y-intercept is negative 4. So plot negative 4, and then we're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 2. And you can't really get another one on the graph. However, I know some of you are like, well, it's only up one more spot. So if you went up 1, 2, 3, 4, this would technically be 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then right 2, that would actually be where the next point is. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But if you want to, then obviously you can. Okay, and then draw your line. Number 4, okay, so y equals, slope goes in front of the x, y-intercept goes behind, so plotted at 3, then it's down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, done. That one was about as simple as you can get. All of these are pretty easy, okay? So slope goes in front of the x, y-intercept goes behind. So plotted at negative 3. Obviously, you cannot go down 5 and right 1, so we need to go up 5, left 1, which would be right there. And then draw your line, like so. Number 6. So slope goes in front of the x, y-intercept goes behind, and then I put plus 1 because, guys, that's a positive, all right? If it was negative, then I'd obviously put minus 1, all right? So put plus 1. We're going to go up 2 and right 3. We can't get another one on the graph, so let's go backwards. Go back to the y-intercept, go down 2, and left 3. Like so. And then draw your line. Number 7, slope is negative 2/3. That goes in front of the x. Y-intercept is negative 2. So we're going to plot the y-intercept at negative 2. And then we're going to go down 2 and right 3. We cannot get another one on the graph, so go back to the original y-intercept and go backwards. So up 2 and left 3. And then draw your line. Last one on this page. So go to the equation is y equals negative 1x because that's your slope. And then positive 2 is your y-intercept. So that's your equation, plotted at positive 2, which is your y-intercept, and then your slope is negative 1 over 1. So down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. I only require 3 dots, and then draw your line. All right, flip the page. Okay, so same similar concept, all right? So writing the equation given the slope and y-intercept. And again, this is probably the easiest of the first 3 concepts, okay? So y equals 1 over 4x, because that's your slope, minus 2 is your y-intercept. So plotted at negative 2, and then we're going to go up 1 and right 4. And then we need to go backwards. So go back to the y-intercept. Go down 1 and left 4. And then draw your line. Number 2. Slope is 2, so that goes in front of the x. Y-intercept is negative 4. So plotted at negative 4. My slope is 2 over 1. So up 2 and right 1. And then up 2 and right 1. Done. I only require 3 dots. And then draw your line. Number 3. So your slope is -4. Your y-intercept is +4. So plot 4 on the y-axis. And then -4 is actually -4 over 1. So you're going to go down 4 and right 1, which is here. And then one more time, down 4 and right 1. And then draw your line. Number 4, your slope is -2, so -2x. Your y-intercept is +2, so that would be your equation. Plotted at 2, and then your slope is -2 over 1. So -2 over 1, we're obviously going down 2 and right 1, down 2 and right 1. Then draw your line. We'll make that a little bit straighter. There we go. Okay, number 5. Y-intercept is, the slope is 1 over 2. So that goes there. Y-intercept is 4. So plotted at 4. Your slope is 1 over 2. So you can go up 1 and right 2, and that would be right here. But we need to go backwards to get the third dot. So go back to the middle, meaning the y-intercept. And we're going to go down 1, left 2. There's my 3 dots. And draw your line. Number 6. So my slope is 1/5. My y-intercept is -2. So plot the y-intercept at -2. We're going to go up 1 and right 5, which is way over here. And obviously we can't do another one, so we need to go back to the y-intercept, go down 1 and left 5, meaning we're going backwards. So there's your 3 dots. And then draw your line. Last 2 of these, okay? So your slope is -8 over 3. Always move the negative to the top. Just makes your life easier, okay? So with the x, and then +4 is your y-intercept. So plotted at +4. And then I'm actually going to go down 8 and right 3. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then right 3. Obviously, I cannot get another dot on the graph going forward or backward, so we just have to settle for 2 dots. All right? And then draw your line. Move that over just a little bit. There we go, that's better. And then last one, writing the equation from the slope and y-intercept. So my slope is -6, that goes in front of the x. My y-intercept is -3, so plotted at -3. I cannot go down 6 and right 1, so I need to go backwards. So I'm going to go up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and left 1. And then that would be my answer. I cannot get another one, so I'm stuck with just, I'm stuck with just 2 dots. It's not wanting to draw a straight line for me. I'm trying to cheat here and draw a straight line with my little straight line drawer thing. There we go. So that would be writing an equation given the slope and y-intercept. Now, writing the equation from a table, okay? So when you're doing this, the first thing you need to look for is the 0 in the x column. because the y-intercept is that number right there. So my y-intercept is going to be 2. Now, slope is actually y over x, all right? Meaning I need to find the trend in the y over the trend in the x. And I'm just going to use the first 2 boxes, all right? So the trend in y, 8 to 5 is down 3. Trend in x, -8 to -4 is up 4. So if it's y over x, that would be -3 over 4. So that would be my slope. Now that I've got the slope, now that I've got the y-intercept, now I can write the equation. Y equals -3 over 4x plus 2. All right? Next one. Find the 0 in the x column. Well, there it is right there. All right? Your y-intercept is -1. Slope, I'm just going to use the first, well, you can use any of these dots, okay? If you don't like negatives, then use these 2 dots right here. Not really that big of a deal, okay? So the slope, 1 to 3 is up 2. 5 to 10 is up 5. So y over x, 2 over 5. So that would be my slope. Then you write the equation. Y equals 2 over 5x minus 1. Now, graphing both of them. You've seen me throughout this video graph the equations. Just want to make sure that we understand it. You plot the y-intercept first at +2 on the y-axis because it's called the y-intercept. Then you're just going to use the slope, which is right here, to plot 2 other points. Okay? -3 over 4 would be down 3 and right 4. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 4. If we try to go forward with another one, we could go down 3, but we can't go right 4. So we need to go back to the y-intercept, all right? And then we need to go backwards. So we need to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then left 4, which would be right here. Then, now that we've got 3 dots, now we can draw our line. All right, come into this one. So my y-intercept is -1, which is right here. My slope is 2 over 5. So I'm going to go up 2, right 5. So up 2 and right 5. And then obviously I can't do another one, so I need to go backwards. Go back to the y-intercept and go down 2 and left 5. Which would be right there. And then draw your line. All I require is 3 dots. This is writing an equation from a table. All right, flip the page. So again, find the 0 in the x column. There it is. There's your y-intercept, 1. Now we just need to find the trend in x and the trend in y. And you can pick any one that you want. It doesn't matter. You can pick the bottom 2 if you want. So 5 to 1 is down 4. -3 to 0 is up 3. So it would be y over x, so that's my slope. -4 over 3. Now that I've got the equation, now that I've got the slope, I can write, the y-intercept, we can write the equation. So y equals, my slope is -3 over 4. That goes in front of the x. My y-intercept is 1, so plus 1. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to plot the y-intercept, which would be +1. and use the slope to plot two other points. So down 4 and right 3. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1, 2, 3. Now, you can't necessarily get another one because if you go down 4, you're going to go off the graph. So we need to go back to the y-intercept, and we need to go backwards. So we need to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then left 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that we've got 3 dots, go ahead and draw your line. Now, what happens if you don't have a 0 in the X column? Okay? Well, a lot of times what will happen is your trend will take you to a 0. Okay? So, for example, if I try to go this way, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 4, I'm never going to get to 0. But if I go that way, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, the next number would actually be 0. Well, now I need to go one more slot in that direction for the Y's. 12, 9, 6, 3, 0, negative 3. There's my 0 in the X column. That would be my y-intercept, negative 3. Now, again, we'll pick 2 points and then do the slope. So for the y, 0 to 3 is up 3. For the x, 2 to 4 is up 2. So it's y over x. So that would be my slope, 3 over 2. And then now I can write the equation. Y equals 3 over 2x minus 3. Plot the y-intercept, which is negative 3. Use the slope. So 3 over 2. So up 3, right 2. So up 1, 2, 3, right 2. And then one more time. 1, 2, 3, right 2. And then draw your line. Wow, that's kind of off a little bit. I'm going to try that again. Now that's even further off. You got to get these things almost right on. It's almost like cheating when you do, though. Straight line drawer. All right, next, okay? Now I'm actually going to change the numbers in these because these are wrong, okay? So on this particular problem, let's go ahead and change this to 21, 18, 15, 12, 9. All right? So now, find 0 in the X column. Well, we need to go that way, don't we? 21, 18, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3, and then 0. Okay, so there's my 0 in the X column. So we need to go that many for the Y direction, right? 12, 10, 8, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0, negative 2. So my y-intercept is negative 2. So now what we need to do is we need to find the slope. And it doesn't matter. You can just pick 2 of them. Let's pick these 2. 4 to 6 is up 2. 9 to 12 is up 3. So 2 over 3, because it's y over x, that would be my slope. Now that I've got the slope, now I've got the y-intercept, y equals 2 over 3x minus 2. So plot the y-intercept at negative 2. You're going to go up 2 and right 3. And then we can actually do it one more time, up to right 3. Puts us right on the edge of the graph. All right, last one of these, okay? So I'm going to change these numbers as well. So on this particular problem, I'm going to change this to negative 21, negative 18, negative 15, negative 12, and negative 9. So in order to get to 0, we're actually going to have to go in this direction this time. Okay? So negative 21, negative 18, negative 15, negative 12, negative 9, negative 6, negative 3, and then 0. Now what we have to do is we have to go in the same direction for the y's. So 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 0, negative 5. There's my 0. The number across from it is going to be my y-intercept, so that's negative 5. Now we need to go to the slope. Doesn't matter which two you pick. So 30 to 25 is down 5. 21 to 18, I'm sorry, negative 21 to negative 18 is actually up 3. So y over x, and there's my slope. So my slope is negative 5 over 3. All right? So now I write the equation. Y equals negative 5 over 3x minus 5. Now we plot. So we're going to plot this at negative 5. Now clearly, you cannot go down 5 and write 3. Because you're not just going to go off the graph. You're going to go off the graph to the next page. So what we need to do is we actually need to go backwards. So we're going to go backwards. We're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then left 3. And then one more time. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then left 3. Right on the edge. There's our 3 dots. Now we draw our line. That is writing an equation and graphing it from a table. Now, point slope, okay, on this particular problem right here, okay, you need 2 different setups. You need the slope setup, which looks like that. It's basically a fraction line with a minus sign on top and bottom. You also need the point slope setup, which looks like this. Y minus, leave a space, equal sign, leave a space, parenthesis, x minus, leave a space, and then parenthesis. Now, I know that's kind of cockeyed a little bit, but when I work the first problem, you'll be able to see it cleanly. All right? Now, if you are given a point, okay, in a problem, you're going to use the point slope setup every time, okay? Doesn't matter whether they give you 1 point or 2 points. If you're given a point, you're going to use the point slope setup. So let's go ahead and write it. And it looks like this written out. All right? Now, we all know that this is the x and that's the y, right? So the saying goes like this. X by the x, so that's my x. Y by the y, slope in the middle. So x by the x, y by the y, slope in the middle. Slope is your m. All right? That's how you plug it in. X by the x, y by the y, slope in the middle. All right? Now, once you've got everything plugged in, now you're going to distribute to get rid of the parenthesis. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Now the parentheses gone. Drop this side down. And then the last thing would be, because this is negative 4, I'm going to add it to the other side. That way that goes away. I get y equals 2x, and then negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. So that's my equation. Y equals 2x plus 2. The slope is right here. The y-intercept is right there. Done. Graphing. We've been graphing these, so it's the same way. Plot the y-intercept, which is 2. Use the slope, which is 2 over 1. So up to right 1, and then up to right 1. Like so, and then draw your line. So the next one, you're given a point, so you need the point slope setup. Okay? That's your x, that's your y. The saying goes like this: x by the x, y by the y, slope in the middle. Now that you plugged them all in, you're going to distribute. So negative 1/2 times x is just negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 2. Well, we know that negative times a negative is going to be a positive. Okay? And then 1/2 times 2 is 1. All right? So now, the last step, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to drop this down. Since it's a negative 3, we're going to add it to the other side. That way, that goes away. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. So that's my equation. And my slope is negative 1/2. Y-intercept is 4. So we're going to plot the y-intercept at 4. And then if it's negative 1/2, we're going down 1, right 2. And then one more time. And then draw your line. Like so. Next page. So again, you need the point slope setup. And the saying goes like this: x by the x, y by the y, slope in the middle. Okay? Then distribute. So 2/3 times x is 2/3 x. 2/3 times negative 6 would actually be negative 4. Drop this down. Add that to the other side. That way that goes away. And your equation is going to be y equals 2/3 x minus 2. Now that you found the equation, okay, your slope is 2/3. Your y-intercept's negative 2. So plot the y-intercept at negative 2. And then if the slope is 2/3, you're going up to right 3. So up 2 and right 3, up 2 and right 3, right at the edge of the graph. Then draw your line. Done. Number 4, you're given a point, so you need the point slope setup. That's what it looks like. You can obviously pause the video if you need to, okay, to write this down. Now, this one actually has a negative, okay? So the saying goes x by the x. If you got a negative x in your point, or negative y, it doesn't matter, you actually have to put that in. So the x is negative 2. So I'm actually going to put in negative 2. So x by the x, y by the y, slope in the middle, okay? Now, all of you pretty much know that when you have two negatives right beside each other, it makes it a positive, all right? So that's actually now plus 2. Distribute, negative 3 over 2 times x is negative 3 over 2x. Now what we've got is negative 3 over 2 times 2, which is going to be negative 3. Drop this down, add the 5 to the other side. That way that's now gone. We get y equals negative 3 over 2x, and then that would be plus 2. So that's my equation. My slope is negative 3 over 2. My y-intercept is positive 2. Now all we have to do is plot the y-intercept, which is 2. 2 other points using the slope. So go down 3 and right 2. And then one more time, down 3, right 2. Now that we've got 3 dots, now we can draw our line. I believe that these are the nope, we're actually starting a new thing. Okay, so on this right here, what you're actually seeing, and this will be the last thing on this video, I want to say that there's a few problems, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do these first ones, and then a lot of these other ones kind of work the same way. So if you're given 2 dots like you are here, you need 2 things. You need the slope set up, and you need the point slope set up. All right? So on the slope setup, this is x, that's y, that's x, and that's y. Remember, okay, slope is actually y over x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of my y's and I'm going to put them on top exactly where they are. 2 and negative 2, which means this turns into a positive. Now I'm going to put my x's on bottom exactly where they're at. 1 and 3. So this is actually going to be 4 over negative 2. So my slope, which is m, is negative 2. And we're going to plug that in the middle. Now, when you're given 2 points, you actually get to choose between the 2. Me personally, I generally always try to avoid the negatives. So I'm going with that one right there. So x by the x, y by the y. I've already put my slope in the middle. Okay, that was this right here. M is actually slope. Okay, that's the letter for it. Now that we've got our numbers plugged in, now we distribute. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 would be positive 2. Drop this down. Add this to the other side. So we get y equals negative 2x plus 4. That would be our equation. And I'm actually writing this down on the packet as well, because I'm kind of doing 2 things at once. Okay, so y equals negative 2x plus 4. And then slope would be negative 2. Y-intercept is 4. All right, so what we're going to do is plot the y-intercept at 4. And then use the slope, which is negative 2 over 1. So down 2, right 1. So we're going to go down 2 and right 1. Down 2 and right 1. And then draw your line. So once again, okay, you're given 2 points. you need two things. You need the slope setup. You also need the point slope setup. Slope is always first. Okay, obviously I'm labeling your x's and your y's. Remember, slope is y over x. So y's on top, -4 and -2, exactly as they are, which that makes that a positive. And then x is on bottom, exactly where they're at, -5 and 0. So -4 plus 2 would be -2, and then -5 minus 0 would be -5. Negative over negative is a positive. So 2/5 is your slope. That goes in right there. All right? Now, again, you get to choose which point you want to plug in. I generally try to avoid the negatives, so you can bet that I'm not going to do number 1 because both numbers are negative. So I'm going to go with the second point. All right? So x by the x, y by the y, which I'm actually plugging in -2, which makes this a positive, right? So 2 over 5 times x is 2 over 5x. 2 over 5 times 0 is 0. Okay, I don't care if the 0 is negative or not. There's no such thing as a -0. All right, drop this down. Now you're going to actually subtract this to the other side because it's positive. That goes away. Your slope is 2 over 5x, and then 0 minus 2 is -2. So that would be your equation. Your slope is 2/5. Your y-intercept is -2. And you're going to plot the y-intercept at -2. And then use the slope. Okay, which is 2 over 5. So up 2, right 5. So up 2 and right 5. If you try to do another one, you'll go way off the graph. So go back to the y-intercept and go down 2 and left 5, which would be right there. And it will fall in line, no pun intended, with the other dots. All right? These two right here. Okay? So number 7, you've got 2 points, so you need 2 things. You need the slope setup and the point slope setup. Remember, slope is y over x, so y's on top, exactly where they're at. 2 and 3. X is on bottom, exactly where they're at. 3 and 6. 2 minus 3 is -1. 3 minus 6 is -3. Negative over negative is a positive, so your slope is 1/3. That goes in the middle. Now, you get to choose which point you want to plug in. I'm going to do this one because the numbers are smaller. So x by the x, y by the y. I've already put the slope in the middle. So now we distribute. So 1/3 times x is 1/3 x. 1/3 times -3 would be -1. All right. So drop this down. And then add the 2 to the other side. That goes away. You get y equals 1 over 3x plus 1. So that would be your equation. Your slope is 1/3. Y-intercept is 1. So you would plot the y-intercept at 1. And then you're going to go up 1 and right 3 because your slope is 1 over 3. And then one more time, up 1, right 3. and then draw your line. All right? These 2 points. I think a lot of you are probably getting the hang of it by now. Okay? You need the slope and you need the point slope setup. All right? So slope is y over x. So y is on top, exactly where they're at. X is on bottom, exactly where they're at. 3 minus 2 is 1. 0 minus 4 is -4. Now, I understand that the negative is on the bottom, but it's much easier graphing if you just move it to the top. Because remember, guys, I mean, let's be honest, okay? That's -1/4. That's also -1/4. That's also -1/4. Regardless of where the negative sign is, they're all three -4. I'm sorry, -1/4. So to make the graphing easier, I always say choose that one. Move the negative to the top. So we're going to plug in -1/4 because that is what we got for our slope. All right? Now again, you get to choose which point you want to plug in. Those numbers are smaller, so that's what I'm going with. All right? So x by the x, y by the y, and then distribute. So we get -1/4x, okay, would be -1/4x. -1/4 times 0 is going to be 0. All right, anything times 0 is 0. Drop this down. Add the 3 to the other side. And then we get our equation. Y equals -1/4x plus 3. Okay, so that would be the equation. Slope is -1/4. Y-intercept is 3. Now all we have to do is plot it. So plot the y-intercept at 3. We're going to go -1/4. Down 1, right 4. So down 1, right 4. And obviously we cannot do it again. We'll go off the graph. So go back to the y-intercept and go backwards. So that would be up 1 and left 4. Now that we've got our 3 dots, now you can draw your line. Like so. All right, now there's several more pages of this, okay? And this video is already long enough, all right? So hopefully you've got a pretty good understanding, okay, of how to do these types of problems. Because all of these 2-dot problems, they work the exact same way, okay? You do the slope first, plug it into the point slope formula, and then choose a point, plug it into the point slope formula. Okay, so one last problem that I'm going to go over would be like number 2. Okay, what happens in a situation like number 2? All right, because it's come up before. I'm sure some teachers have just given you problems and then not seen this, and then later on they're like, oh dang. Okay, so problem does not work any different. All right, you need the slope setup and the point slope setup. Starts the same way. Y is on top, exactly where they're at. X is on bottom, exactly where they're at. So that would be -3/4. All right, that goes in the middle. That's our slope. Now we get to choose our points. I'm probably going to go with this. Whoops. I'm probably going to go with this one. Gosh, trying to hit the highlighter. There we go. Probably go with that one because the 0 is a smaller number, so it's going to be easier math. So x by the x, y by the y, and then we've already put the slope in the middle. So we get negative 3 over 4 times x, which is negative 3 over 4x. Negative 3 over 4 times 0 is 0. All right. Drop this down. Add the 9 to the other side. So we get y equals negative 3 over 4x plus 9. The slope is negative 3 over 4. The equation is y equals negative 3 over 4x plus 9. Now, if you go to the graph, you can see that the graph actually only goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see that my y-intercept is negative 9. When you run into a scenario like that, okay, when your y-intercept actually goes off the graph, well, hopefully it doesn't go off the graph too much, which this one does not. All I had to do is I just had to extend my graph 3 lines. So 6, 7, 8, there's my 9. All right, right there. So now I'm going to use the slope, which is negative 3 over 4. I'm going to go down 3 and right 4. So down 1, 2, 3, and then right 4, which would be right here. Obviously, if I try another one, I'm going to go off of the graph that I've already had to extend, okay, in both directions. So I'm just going to stick with 2 dots. Boom. And that's kind of how you could take care of that scenario. Okay, so if there's any other questions on how to do writing the equations given 2 coordinate points, okay, y'all can come up to me in class. All right, if you're watching this video and you're not in my class, hopefully you understand it. Okay, I've gone over several problems. You can rewind it and listen to the other problems. They all work the exact same way. Slope first on this, point slope equation second. That's how you get the equation.